So welcome all to our fourth Catalyst Sustainability Goals event, Plastics and Cardano. It's hosted by Cardano4Climate in collaboration with the Cardano and Catalyst communities and you. Over to you, Abe.
Thank you. My name's Abe. I am a newer member of the C4C group. And we always like to start off these Catalyst events with a brief quote. Today we've selected one that's particularly meaningful to me from an essay by Albert Einstein called The World as I See It. He starts off talking about how strange is the lot of us mortals, each of us here for such a brief sojourn. For what purpose he knows not, though sometimes thinks he can sense it. And you can read here on the screen, but Einstein goes on to talk about the interdependence of the people in his life, both those who bring happiness and smiles to his own face, but also those unknown to him, to whom he's bound through ties of sympathy. And he says that 100 times every day, I must remind myself that my inner and outer life are based on the labors of other men, and that I must exert myself in order to give in the same measure as I have received and am still receiving. And this, to me, really struck me as a younger man as the meaning of life. Why are we here? What is my personal philosophy on what am I to do on this earth? And to me, this really gets to the heart of it, that we are all connected, whether we choose to see it and admit it or not, we still are. I both depend on my wife and daughter to give me joy, but I also depend on the construction worker who built the road that I drive my car on. And we are all interconnected, and we all depend on one another. And to me, I agree with Einstein. I endeavor every day to give back as I receive, and I'm continuing to receive. And so that really speaks to what C4C does as well, and why it's so important to talk about Cardano blockchain and plastics today. We are all connected, whether we see the plastic floating in the ocean or sitting on the side of the road, whether we acknowledge it or not. It does still impact our life, and it will continue to impact our life and everybody who we love and care about in our day-to-day lives. So like I said, this is a particularly meaningful quote to me, and if anybody would like more information, I suggest you look up this entire essay. It's very, very impactful. So,
Thanks, Abe.
like I said, I'm a little bit newer to C4C, just been working with the group for a few months now, but it's a very welcoming and engaging community. I love the work that they do and the mission that they're after. And I know Melanie has been here from the beginning and can give a little bit of an overview for how it started, what's happened since, and where the community hopes to grow into the future.
So it seems like more than a year ago that we got together Fund 6. It began as a challenge proposal, and what's come out of it in the last 8 months, since July, August this past year only, is a whole community, Cardano4Climate. Next slide, please. Just checking we're in the same spot. Now, at one of our first sustainability goals event, we heard from Scott Poynton, and he pointed out that climate change is a failure in cooperation, and that's until now. So through Cardano4Climate, individuals from across the world are coming together to address humanity's greatest challenge. We support all proposals and projects related to climate change action on Cardano the blockchain that aims to be energy efficient and environmentally sustainable. The next phase that we're moving into, sorry, I have to switch back and forth to my presenter mode here. We've begun a new phase called Climate Change, the Collaboration. We have the same mission as we always have, to make the world work better for all people, animals, and the planet. Today's event takes us into OpenLitterMap with Sean, Ocean Cleanup with Leonard, Elias is presenting from Viridis, and Shlomo from an incredible artist and an NFT. There will be opportunities to ask questions during the breakout rooms in about an hour. First up, we have Sean and OpenLitterMap. We're creating the world's most advanced open database on litter, brands, and plastic pollution, funded by Cardano through Project Catalyst.
It's over to me. Hi, everybody. My name's Sean. I'm the founder and developer of OpenLitterMap. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what is OpenLitterMap, a little bit about LitterCoin, how I got here, and why, more importantly, why we're all here to learn a little bit more about Cardano and why Project Catalyst is the most important thing to happen to science and environmental research and plastic research in my 15 years studying this problem. So don't have to travel very far to find litter. You also don't have to look very far to learn that there's something fundamentally wrong with society when we live in this unsustainable system where science about the environment is not flourishing as it should. But what we've been given with Project Catalyst is an ability to totally disrupt science funding. It took me 15 years and more than 80 applications to get my first funding, which came from Project Catalyst. So the traditional system is just not equipped to deal with the problems of today. The current governance system that we have has totally failed to protect the climate and the environment, and new disruptive ways of financing, of incentivizing user behavior, of stimulating certain sectors of the economy are urgently needed, and we need to start speeding this up. So I got my first funding from Project Catalyst, and I have another fund in Fund 8 at the moment to add gamification to LitterCoin. So next slide, please. So yeah, I got my first funding from Cardano. I have another range of partners, including corporate and academic institutions, and this list continues to grow. Next slide, please. So I was studying geography in 2008 as a first year, and I was introduced to this really amazing software called GIS, where you could visualize and analyze the relationship between all these different data sets, like the real world, where customers are, their litter is accumulating, their streets, the elevation. How do we start to model and understand the real world? I thought this was incredibly powerful software. And I was thinking, how do I combine this with my interest in games? If I was to just take these two abstract concepts of GIS and geographic information and combine it with my interest in gaming, what would that look like? I was thinking to myself in 2018. So I set myself on a journey of wondering, what kind of app could I build? Next slide, please. Near where I live, on my walk to university every day, there's this area by me that's plagued by dumping and littering and antisocial behavior. And if you can remember only 12 years ago, or how many years ago, in 2008, this was the pre-iPhone era. So I was thinking, do I walk out there with a GPS instrument? Can I somehow combine that with with photographs? Because I knew that data, the visualization on the map, I could educate people with that. I could show people in the local community where it is and like what it looks like through this digital medium. And then I realized you could also work with local governments and other stakeholders with the data to try and get this fixed. Soon after I realized you could map illegal dumping, I realized that you could apply the same technology to litter and plastic pollution, which is everywhere. Next slide, please. So traditionally, science has been done by experts, but increasingly it's been complemented, but the data collection has been complemented by what we call citizen science. And this is involving non-professionally trained volunteers in the data collection process. So here in Ireland, where I live, this is a map of the native hedgehog, which was crowdsourced entirely by citizen scientists. And we can also map invasive species like the Japanese knotwood, which is a huge problem for construction and infrastructure. This invasive species can be crowdsourced by citizen scientists. But biodiversity mapping is not that easy because you have to find these species and be able to identify them. What has a much lower barrier to entry, in the next slide, is mapping litter and plastic pollution, which is everywhere. You don't have to travel very far to find it. And everybody knows that this is a face mask, that's a bottle, there's 10 cigarette butts in the next photo. So mapping litter has an extremely low barrier to entry. And recently, about 1 billion people around the world have been equipped with this incredibly powerful device. We've learned how to use our device to share information, but we haven't yet exploited the fundamental purpose of our device, which is to collect and process data. And we can use this device to collect real world observations that have tremendous visualization impact, like the map of litter. And also this data has important implications for producer responsibility and how millions of euros in taxpayers' money is spent as well. Next slide, please. So using our app is easy. I'm not going to lie, it needs a little bit of work, but it's really coming together thanks to the funding from Project Catalyst. So it's as easy as you take a photo, you tag what litter you see in the photo, and then just upload your data. And we've also had a new feature called Teams. You can join the Cardano4Climate team using the identifier Cardano4Climate and help Cardano improve the ranks and compete against all of these other teams. Next slide. So as a reward for doing the work, users are rewarded with LitterCoin. LitterCoin is the first token for collecting data about the environment. But unlike other cryptocurrencies, it can only be spent in zero-waste stores. Keep going. It's not going to be listed on any exchange. And because it's only spendable in zero-waste stores, it's technically climate currency. The fiat system of governments producing millions of euros disproportionately accumulates in the fossil fuel industry, in the oil and gas sectors, who have accumulated so much currency that they have swapped a visible nature for this imaginary invention called money. So plastic doesn't just have environmental consequences, it has huge consequences for public expenditure as well. So if you're someone who's paying a fortune in income tax and capital gains tax, litter is costing you as a taxpayer hundreds and thousands of euros every day. In Ireland, the cost is nearly 10,000 euros per hour. So there's not just an environmental obligation, there's also a fiscal responsibility to try and fix this problem. The next slide, please. And so current systems not capable yet of supporting the development of citizen science, which is why things like Catalyst are needed. To give you an idea of some other projects that I've been working on, I've also been working on druglitter.info. We have crowdsourced 6 years of continuous data on drug-related paraphernalia with the Health Service Executive, one of the most comprehensive data sets in the world. This data will be instrumental to guide an objective public dialogue and evaluate huge policy decisions like opening injecting centers and other services. Next slide. We've also been contacted recently with some people in the Ukraine who asked, can they leverage all of OpenLitterMap, which is Catalyst funded, to help map landmines and other remnants of military and war activity in the Ukraine. And this is a project we're hoping to launch soon. But interestingly, we were able to get this online in about 24 hours. So OpenLitterMap is open source and it can easily be adopted to mapping any other activity as well. And we're hoping to release this in the next couple of days to help map landmines and other things. So I have a proposal in for Catalyst again in Fund 8. Voting just started today. It's in Gamers Unchained. Our last one wasn't successful, but hopefully this time we're applying for a 0.5% of the total Fund 8. And we're hoping to build this new Litter Week initiative. And OpenLitterMap is great, but it's very academic and minimalistic. And Litter Week will be a school data collection competition. You join your school team, and we get all the schools in the world competing against each other. And unlike Earth Day, which is 1 out of 365 days, Litter Week runs every week. And you take the Litter Week challenge any week that suits you. And next slide. I think that's it. Yeah, keep the global map open to see live updates, and you might see a new image is uploaded, about 700 every day, and a new user or a new team has been created as well. So if you have any questions at the end, I'd love to take them.
Thanks, Sean. Amazing work, funded by Catalyst, Project Catalyst. Did you, I can't remember if you went into how hard it was for you to get funding to begin with, and that Project Catalyst is the one that supported you. So yeah, this is pretty incredible. We're part of a really great system. Next up, we have Leonard from the Ocean Cleanup. They aim, this company, non-governmental organization, not for profit, aim to clean up 90% of the floating ocean plastic pollution. They're developing and scaling technologies to rid the oceans of plastic. To achieve this objective, they work on a combination of closing the source and cleaning up what has already accumulated in the ocean and doesn't go away by itself. Leonard, thank you so much for joining us today, and it will be over to you now. Thank you.
Okay. So, like you already said, our mission in the ocean cleanup is to rid the oceans of plastic. It's that simple and so challenging as well. And we have two directions. So we clean up the legacy of plastic in the ocean that humankind has left there. And on the other hand, we want to turn the tap off and stop plastic floating from rivers into the ocean. So here a few details on what we are. We are a non-profit, and we were founded 9 years ago by our founder, Boyan Slat, when he was 18 or 19 years old. So we are a very young organization in that sense. And we use really, our focus is to use and develop technologies to clean up and to address the problem of plastic in the ocean. So here we started in the beginning with research because the problem was not well known yet. So we did a lot of studies. I think the first 5 to 6 years was really research and finding out the size and the span of the problem. And we developed quite some articles published in Nature journal and other academic media. But it showed the impact of the problem was bigger than thought. And yeah, from that point on, we started to become a bit more concrete. And I will show you a little bit of our technology developments that we have achieved. We are now, it says here 100, but we're now with 120 full-time employees, a large part research and development, and a lot of engineers developing the technologies. And in the meantime, the last years, I think our CEO has gained a lot of track on all kinds of levels on making the problem known to the world and telling as much people as we can about the issue that needs to be addressed. So very short, data-driven. We always base our inventions and approaches based on data. We use AI. We use all kinds of approaches to find out what is really the resource of the problem. We're very collaborative. So this is such a big problem. You cannot address alone as an organization. So we work with a lot of partners. That can be research institutes, universities, but also companies and other NGOs. And our focus really is on positive action. So making impact, trying things, do things, and we don't stop at the research, but just also implement solutions. And again, not for profit. So first, something about the oceans, what we have done. Here you see the system that is out in the ocean at the moment. You see two ships pulling two big arms, and in the middle a retention zone where we catch the plastic. The ships move over the garbage patch at this moment while we're speaking at a very slow speed. So just a little bit above the speed that the plastic won't escape, and the fish and other animals are able to swim out again. To date, we have now almost 60,000 kilo catched with this system. It took quite some years to work on the system and make it really working. And we're now already at trip 7 with this system, and we're mainly testing. So we're not really focusing on getting a maximum catch yet, because we have some plans to develop it further. And we're testing separate elements on each trip to make sure it will remain working. So, well, we published quite some videos on our catch through our channels. You might have seen those, so I'll skip those for now, but they're always impressive to look at, I think. So in the middle, you see the current system. So we're now working on tripling the size towards 2,400 meters to really make it also an economical operation, because now the system is too small and too costly. So if we're going to triple the size, we're getting to a more economical model and making it also affordable to do this. And making it such a big ship, we run in all kinds of challenges. And one of those is that we will catch so much plastic in the retention zone, and which you see at the bottom, that we need a specific logistics vessel, for instance, which we're going to test end of this year, bringing back and forth between the port all the plastics we will take out. So in one go, we estimate that we can catch 75 tons in the retention zone. So these volumes we can't handle on those little ships. So that's for this 1.5 years. And here you see a little bit of an overview. We're now at system 2 testing, going slowly to system 3. And that is the basis for the scale up of a fleet, because we want to have 10 of those systems in the Great Pacific garbage patch the coming years to clean up the total patch. And in the meantime, there are more patches. There are 5 of these gyres in the world. We're doing research and studies. And we just came back from the Indian Ocean, where we did a first study on the Indian gyre. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we do on the oceans. For rivers, we started researching those many years ago, because we assumed that there was a lot of plastic flowing out, but we didn't know how much and from where exactly. So we analyzed all the rivers. And we found out that there are 1,000 rivers that are accountable for 80% of the plastic pollution. And those rivers are mostly in Southeast Asia, the production house of this world, where there's a lot of coastal lines, island-based economies. There we see the most pollution. So now a little bit about how do we approach river by river. Each river has its own flow, has its own tides and dynamic. No single river is the same. So we study before we start intercepting or building interceptor solutions per river. We start by really seeing what is happening on the ground. What is the problem? A little bit back here, you see the difference if we wouldn't do the river interception. So you see that the impact of closing those rivers is huge. So the gyres will stay. That plastic won't disappear by itself. But on the coasts, the dynamic of plastic is that it washes up on shore or it sinks. And if you stop that, yeah, then that helps enormously to clean out the ocean. Here you see one of the interceptors in Malaysia. This is one of our first in the River Klang, one of the most polluted rivers. And this is what we call the classic interceptor, which basically also has arms and scoops up all the garbage from the river. And it automatically dumps the plastic and trash into barges that is, normally once a day we clean the containers and bring it to waste dumps, or depending on what's possible, we recycle. But you see lots of stuff coming out of that river day by day, and the system works 24/7 based on solar energy. So it's fully operational by itself. And here you see the containers being offloaded at the container site. But this is one solution. We also work in Jamaica, in Kingston Harbor, where you have like a delta, which has 11 smaller rivers dumping all its trash in Kingston Bay. There we use little barriers and a tender that picks up the garbage from these little gullies. One of the worst rivers, I can show you a little bit more image later, is in Guatemala, where we built avalanche fences in the river to catch up the plastic that comes from Guatemala City. The volumes are so high, a normal interceptor would be full in a couple of minutes. And also you have a high difference in in wet season and dry season. So impossible to operate with an interceptor. Well, here's an example of an interceptor, a new one, which we just launched in Vietnam, in Canto River. The inauguration event was last week. So very happy we have Vietnam first. In Klang River, this is our newest model. It was launched also in the beginning of this year. Its conveyor belt is wider. We have wider barges. There's improved solar system. So we continue also to develop these machines to a next model, to a better system, etc. So keep on going. This is the Guatemala image of the river I was just talking about, where we build in the avalanche fences. You can see the huge piles of trash here, which we scoop out with cranes, just normal cranes, nothing highly technological, but the quantities are so high we have to work with that approach. And it's a complicated project because we have to build really systems in the mountain here to catch it all in a good way. So that's Guatemala. Here you see our CEO watching the rubbish that is accumulated on the shore in Rio Las Vacas. So a lot of need there to clean up. And here we have one of our interceptors that is going to the USA. Also there we have polluting rivers. This model will go into the Ballona Creek River in Los Angeles. And this is again another view of the project we have in Kingston Harbor. So yeah, this gives you a little bit of the idea where we're active. We're at the moment deploying in the USA, Dominican Republic, Guatemala. So throughout the world, and but our focus really for the coming years is in Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, because there we find the biggest emission. So I think I reached the end. So it gives you a very high flyover of what the ocean cleanup is about. Thank you.
Wow, Leonard, I hope there's a pile of questions for you at the end. Leonard will be in a breakout room. Yoram and I have spent the last month meeting with Leonard and the ocean cleanup, asking questions, getting to know each other, and it's just been a real privilege to work with this organization. To be honest, I didn't know how big it was the first meeting that I went to. I went and I looked at the YouTube videos, which I dropped the link in there afterwards, and it blows my mind to think that this has been ongoing. I haven't really heard much about it. It came up in the Plastic Ocean documentary that there was something going on, but this is the kind of thing that we need to promote and make aware. especially since this is a not-for-profit. So.
Yeah. I will just add also, and we can speak about it in a breakout room. Also, we are speaking with Leonard and thinking obviously how their work can apply to Cardano and to blockchain. There's some great initiative about that, but we start step by step. And great to have you here, Leonard. Thank you for that.
Yes, yeah, and I skipped for now for time's sake now on the possibilities we see working with the blockchain. We already do. We already work with NFT artists, and we have, of course, cryptocurrency operation going, but there's much more possible. So we're interested to review and look what we can do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more meetings with you after this event. Next up, we have Elias from Veritas, and just something else to mention what Sean had mentioned. Project Catalyst is a part of Cardano, the bigger ecosystem, and it's a series of experiments which seeks to generate the highest levels of community innovation. Catalyst is bringing on-chain governance to the Cardano blockchain by allowing the community to self-determine priorities for growth. It also lets participants deploy funding to proposals which tackle challenges and capitalize on opportunities that arise in the life cycle of Cardano. Veritas and Elias, over to you, and this is one project funded by Catalyst.
Thank you, Melanie. Yeah, thank you, Melanie. Thank you, everybody. I'm Elias. I'm representing Veritas team. We are a Fund 7 funded proposal, and I'm happy to present our project. I'm starting with the growing awareness that we see on the impact of plastics. Sheen and Leonard talked about that. So it's threatening life in general, in soil and ocean. So we need to tackle this problem, and we want to have an opportunistic strategy. Next slide, please. We know that 2.5 million plastic bottles are thrown every hour in the world. And the plastics bottles are the main plastic trash in the field. And also it's the main opportunity for recycling, because it's composed of two materials that can simply be recycled if it's clean and with the corresponding size. So it's difficult to clean, to recycle bottle by bottle. But if there is the size, a big bunch, it's more profitable. So as the plastic trash is a decentralized problem, everybody creates his own trash. So we need to use blockchain. Next slide, please. To resolve this problem that is everywhere in the world, we propose a solution based on a blockchain. We think that problem of recycling is not technological. We have many processes to recycle plastics if they are sorted and in good shape. So it's mostly a supply chain problem, and also rewarding collectors who collect trash in the field. Next slide. So our solution is to create a decentralized application when we can facilitate coordination and provide a trail of evidence of the source of the plastics, while assuring a certain quality of our output. We submitted a proposal in the Catalyst, and here we go. The process will start with the collectors in the field who start trash. There are already many in the developing world here in Morocco, and they collect plastics and they sell to aggregators that will sort before selling to the recyclers. So our solution will help matching those aggregators with recyclers to have a good price for them. And in the same time, we have three main components of our smart contract, namely proof of collect and proof of recycling that we want to implement to share the value. Recyclers after that will sell the plastic recycled to distributors and will be used in the industry to make new products and hence having a circular economy. As a plastics problem is that they are used one times, so single-use plastics the most dangerous. But if we can use those plastics 10, 100 times, 1,000 times, it will be a less big problem. Next slide. So the so our smart contract will have three main functions. As I said, proof of collect. After collecting the trash, it will be documented and submitted to our app. Proof of recycling. After the recycler had recycled, she can make that available for selling, and it will be connected to the collector of trash. And after the cycle is closed, we can distribute rewards. I will talk about that afterward. Right now, we are prototyping our smart contract using Marlowe. Cardano blockchain is one of the most decentralized blockchains, and they have Bluetooth is the main language for programming the smart contracts, but they have a visual language called Marlowe to prototypes and to simulate smart contracts, and we will use it. So in parallel, we aim to explore more ways to create value for the recyclers and for the collectors by generating CO2 credits in the blockchain. We have talked with the two projects funded in Catalyst that will be minting NFTs for CO2 credits, and we will also explore how we can make NFTs, as we have a partner here in Morocco called Friends of Nature. They are using trash to make some awareness for children and to make some piece of art. So yeah, our project will be have a timelines of 1 year. We are in just our second month. We are working essentially for prototyping the DApp and making a minimal viable experiment. After 6 months, we will have our early birds, partners, recyclers, and we want to be testing our smart contracts to have a public launch in 1 year period time. Yeah. So I just want to, before ending, to thank Cardano4Climate, as they was the first community that helped us through the Catalyst process. We weren't very knowledgeable about how to propose in Catalyst, and we had sufficient support. Thanks Melanie, thanks Yoram, thanks everybody, and hope to share with you our progress in the future, in the near future. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Elias. It's great to see this come this far. You know, 4 months ago, we were in this same process of waiting for voting, you know, or somebody going to get funding, you're sitting on edge. And here Elias and this project did receive funding, and we're really thankful for that, and really glad to see you here and to also follow you through this process as we go.
One day I was watching, seeing on Facebook my mother doing a like for Oskin tunes. I say, I mean, what's up? How come my mother, you know, my dear mother knows about Charles and Cardano. And so I give her a call. She said, no, I do like for everything that that Shlomo is doing, and he's a friend of mine from childhood. So I actually pick up the phone to Shlomo and basically learn about his amazing work and his passion about the sea and what is he doing with art and the sea. And it's a pleasure to see him now presenting. Obviously, immediately I said, okay, how can we connect his work to Cardano and what we are doing? And yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here, Shlomo, and looking forward to see your beautiful art.
Can you hear me? Well, hi everyone. An outstanding project, I might say. I mean, cleaning the sea and everything. This is amazing. Okay. Before talking on my heart, I'm sorry. Just a short briefing where I came from and how everything is started. I was born in a little city in Israel near Tel Aviv. If you remember the song, once there were green fields, well, once there was white dunes nearby the sea. They're gone, all of them. The skyscraper managed to take it over. By my childhood was involving snorkeling and painting. And when I grew up, I continued to do the same. Diving, I became a professional diver and a professional artist, graphic designer, and a cartoonist. The results of this combination of those two disciplines was a line of books about diving around the world, describing beautiful, outstanding dive sites, starting with the Red Sea, of course, the Suez, and then the Bahamas, Florida Keys, Cayman Islands, Palau, Guam, etc. And of course, a huge line of artwork, of posters, trademarks, illustration, calendars, t-shirts, everything which is related to the sea. Parallel to this, I still did graphic design and political cartoons, which I'm doing even today, editorial and daily political cartoons. In my point of view, and bear in mind that we just saw the whole amazing, outstanding project of really cleaning the sea, I came from a different angle. My angle is the sense of humor, and all I want to achieve is a little bit of shifting in people awareness. That's all. And a cartoon, an editorial cartoon, a political cartoon, and graphic design can do it. Just bear in mind, if one man, because of the art, any art, my art or somebody else's art, will understand what's happening to the plastic bottle that he's throwing away, and then 100 people understand it, and 10,000 people understand it, and 1 million people understand it, the ocean will be much more easier to clean with the big project, okay? That's so forth. So all my art combined together, and it started with a proposal of a kind of retrospective exhibition in the International Boat Show in Düsseldorf last January. Unfortunately, due to the Corona pandemic, it was postponed, and it's going to take place, hopefully, the coming January. When those proposals for the retrospective exhibition came, I came to the idea that I want to take part of the exhibition and do a line of work that everything related to the Apocalypse, using the exhibition to show everything. And in the last 2 years, I did a line of work which everything is related to the Apocalypse. With graphic design, like the one that you see here, the reflection, and other that Johan probably will run the slideshow, and combining with artwork or with cartoons or video, animation, and everything, all in one purpose. Just a little bit of shifting in people awareness of the pollution and the apocalypse, which is already here. All right? Okay, another one. You're my aide now. Here's kind of a reflection. And I remember those islands in the Bahamas and the Florida Keys And this is what came in my mind. The reflection is the future. I mean, those islands are reflected our future. This is the way that I designed it. Now, I'm using the plastic bottle as a symbol because artists and cartoonists are using things like bottles, or they are looking for one item that can be the metaphor of everything. But the plastic bottle is to symbolize almost everything, as we heard before. This is the major pollution trouble. So everything is around, all my art is around the plastic bottle. This is Dubai, okay? Or for example, this is part of the work that I'm going to show, okay? So a line of cities in the world that the reflection is the future. Dubai reflected the future. This is the name of this collection, okay? Okay, another one, so for example, the well, there's a kind of line of work, which is, of course, this is not a cartoon and it's not a sense of humor, but the way I felt about it and the way I remember the sea which I was born nearby it. Yeah. Okay, this is one of the collection of graphic art, not cartoon, which became also a line of t-shirts, okay, like the one that I'm wearing here, okay, because t-shirts is a language, okay. This is a sculpture that was planned to be at the International Boat Show in Düsseldorf. I hope it will be, we're going to finish it to the coming January, the next exhibition. As a graphic designer, here I used the famous Little Prince. If you remember the story, the way that the Little Prince was worried about his planet and worried about the universe. So I used it as a poster, and he said, "Dare you to save our planet?" This is from the book itself. So as a graphic designer and a cartoonist, you can see I'm searching for everywhere, every angle that I can find out in order to tell the story and to achieve this little shifting in people's mind. Okay, this is again the statue. Okay, if you can read the description under this, you can read it. You see, in my opinion, the only creature who will survive in the future are those who adapt themselves to the evolving environment today. So future fishes will be partly plastic because they'll survive. If they'll survive, they'll turn themselves. And this is out of my experience. I saw it. I'll try to do it as short as possible. I was diving in a cave in Yucatan, Mexico. The cave was filled with water 12,000 years ago, in the end of the Ice Age. Some fishes were trapped within the cave. The cave is completely dark. There's no light inside. It's a maze. It's kind of a maze, and it's very dangerous diving to go there because there is no light. I'm sorry, there is no light, there is no dark, because if there is no light, there is no dark. Now, in those caves, there are fishes which adapt themselves to the world of darkness or without light. They don't know that there is light or dark. When I saw the first time the fish, I understand, because the fish was not a blind fish. He has no eyes at all. The scalp was empty, like a snake with no legs. Now, bear in mind, in a split second of the timeline of evolution, just 10,000 years, which is a split second, it changed completely. He adapted himself to a world with no light and no dark. If our planet will be full of plastic, and of course, this is a sense of humor of a cartoonist, most of the creature which will survive will be plastic. So this is the way that Around and around, a cartoonist like me is working and doing my art. Yoram, can you move for another one, please? Okay, this is a piece of art. Oh, you just, okay. So in the future, this is the way fishes are going to look. For example, this is going to be, I don't know the name, but if you see the rest of them, each one will get a scientific name, and they change, and they become plastic fish or bottle fish, okay, or fish bottle, whatever, okay. And this is a collection. For them, the one in there is the Pseudochomis Coca-Cola, if you want to put it, Gruppe Coca-Cola, or Wells Coca-Cola, Seabes Clearwater, and it's a collection that I'm going to hopefully to launch it on the NFT, which is part of the other collection, another piece of art. Anyway, that's basically the story. This is the art. This is the exhibition. And this is the collection, or part of the collection, that hopefully I'm going to launch it with NFT. And of course, profit will be donated to cleaning the ocean. No doubt about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Shlomo. I just wanted to say that one of these you see there with the bottle and the fish, that's the NFT that we've released 2 weeks ago at our first Twitter space, and we've been starting to collect. You can purchase that NFT for 15 ADA or more. Cool thing about this is 100% of this is going towards donating towards ocean cleanup. We're still sorting that out as far as the logistics of turning ADA into fiat or working through cryptocurrencies, but these are just minor challenges in this bigger scheme of things. So that, Abe, I'm going to hand this over to you really quickly.
I was just
Yep.
before Abe, I mean, astonishing, I mean, amazing art. I would just want to say that Shlomo also actually participated in the last Catalyst Fund, and he came with few proposals. How can you use this art also to promote Cardano in different ways? So it's also part of Catalyst that we heard a lot during this conference. So yeah.
Definitely a lot of appreciation to our engineers on the back end helping us mint the NFT. Like Melanie said, there's a link here and you can mint your own part of the Apocalypsea collection. Appreciate all the speakers being here today. We do have 2 quick calls to action for the attendees. First is at the beginning, Sean with OpenLitterMap spoke. He does have this as an app, as he described, and we'd love everybody to be able to download the app, whether you're on Android or iPhone. I'm adding the links to the chat right now, and you can go ahead and download this app and start using it today. Make sure that you join the Cardano4Climate team so that we can all work together and get recognition together. Personally, my wife and I like to go around and do a little litter hunt as we're walking around the neighborhood, and be sure to pick up the litter as well. That goes the extra mile, I feel, but it's a good user interface and the app's widely available. I encourage everybody to go ahead and download it. And as we mentioned a few times, also the NFT is available for minting in the chat. You can follow that link and support our work and cleaning the ocean.
We want to address the elephant in the room. And here it is. WWF drops NFTs following environmental criticism. Bitcoin consumption is massive. I've asked Christian just to step in and help explain why we choose to mint NFTs on the Cardano blockchain. Why don't we do it through the Ethereum blockchain or Bitcoin? Why are we choosing Cardano? Not only is their mission making the world work better for all, why are we choosing Cardano specifically? So, gave you the heads up, Christian, maybe you can just explain this issue, what happened with the worldwide federation.
I can do that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So I think it's always worthwhile reminding people that there are two different types of blockchains that we as blockchain enthusiasts probably know very well, but for people who are not on the blockchain for a long time already may not be understanding the difference. And that is called, or the protocols that generally are best known are the Bitcoin blockchain or the Ethereum blockchain. They're the biggest blockchains out there, and they use a protocol called proof of work, which is basically the short term for mining. You have to mine blocks, and that means you have to waste energy in order to make blocks. And the more valuable these blockchains become, and the more mining will be done, and the more energy will be wasted. And that was the original way of how we did blockchains. Obviously, Bitcoin was the first one, and we want to give them credit for that. But now there are better protocols out there, and namely proof of stake, which is a protocol or a method to basically ensure blocks are produced safely, but without the mining process being necessary. So we don't need hundreds and thousands of computers mining unnecessarily in order to make blocks, because we have the proof of stake methodology now. And Cardano is the first blockchain that has scientifically developed this and proven that it's as safe as the proof of work technology. There are scientifically evaluated papers out there you can look up. And so it's proven that the security is not suffering through it. It only means that you need something called stake pools, as for example, we run for ourselves. And Cardano is run on 3,000, a little bit more than 3,000 stake pools. And they are producing the blocks, and they are mostly, individuals or teams of people that are spending their time on making sure that Cardano is uplinked and in online 24/7. But important thing to remember is I haven't done it specifically for Ethereum, which is the other blockchain that you can use for NFTs. But if you are comparing things like Bitcoin, a transaction on Bitcoin compared to a transaction on Cardano, you'll find that a transaction on Cardano will use about 10,000 times less electricity than a transaction on Bitcoin. And that sort of compares to, I always do this kettle analogy, that if you do a transaction on Cardano, it uses about 3.6 kilowatt hours of electricity, which means you have to boil a kettle for about 3.6 minutes, which is not insignificant, but it's sort of something you can oversee. But if you do the same transaction on Bitcoin, you will use something like 1,800 kilowatt hours of electricity, and you would have to boil a kettle for about 23 days in terms of the electricity you're using for just one single transaction of moving money around. That's why I think it's a wise move to move to proof of stake. This is something the Ethereum blockchain is doing or is in the process of doing so, but Cardano is far ahead and has already established the technology and the science for it. And that's partly why we're here. That's partly why I'm here, because for all the good the blockchain might do, it's not worth ruining the planet in the process. So yeah,
Thanks.
That's my little spiel.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was like impromptu. Just thought I'd address that though, because there'll be some people that don't know much about the blockchain, and it's like, well, what's the difference? There is a big difference, and that's why we're such avid Cardano fans, part of Project Catalyst, and really it's important for us to be here and to understand the difference. And when we see this news, we don't have to shy away from it. We've got some answers, we've got some solutions, not all of them, but we're working towards that. Yes, thank you.
I just wanted to suggest, I do not know if it makes sense or not, just as you say, or off top of my head because I was so impressed with the presentations. And I am thinking if these projects can collaborate in a way or another. I mean, I'm thinking the Apocalypsea can maybe, you know, the funds raised, direct them to fund Veritas or, you know, the work of the interceptor to implement blockchain. I'm not sure exactly what he has in mind. I'd like to learn more about that. But would that be a way? Are you thinking about having them collaborate?
What a great idea. What an absolutely great idea. And we have been doing that. That's actually spot on. And I'm glad that you bring that up because this was the whole intention behind the first NFT that we launched 2 weeks ago through the Twitter space and again today, that 100% of those profits will actually go to the ocean cleanup. We're working out the technology, the issues around.
No, but my point is, so how you presented it was to me, because if I'm a donor or if I buy NFTs, I'm just telling you how I think. And I do not know if many think like this, but just telling me, and sorry, I don't mean to, you know, minimize what you're doing or what you want to do. It's gonna go to ocean cleanup. If you tell me it's gonna go to this project, then I'm gonna, you know, feel more, I don't know if confident, but even more inclined, yes, to contribute. Yes, I really want to support these two projects. They are amazing. I have seen them. Maybe there are many more. I'd like to see them. And then to buy the NFTs. And also I would love to see and track, now that we have blockchain, where the money is going, or maybe have a say. Okay, so a portion of my contribution maybe can go to Veritas, another portion to that, and another portion to OpenLitter. I even do not know if you want to have this kind of headache. Maybe it would be a Catalyst project itself to build that infrastructure. It's just something.
It's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming. You know, the smart contracts, we do need help. We do need help connecting all of these things. If you think about prior to this event, Shlomo had nothing to do. So he's heard of the ocean cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now you're in here, we've made these connections. Elias, you know, I don't know if you knew about the ocean cleanup.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing all what I have seen. I'm like, it's amazing. And especially like this, I took notes and I got so inspired with this proof of collect and recycling and exactly, and the rewards distribution. But before that, yes, like our donations, buying the NFTs. I don't know if it's donation, if it's buying art, which is amazing. And you can look at it as donations because you donated to this project. But so, yeah, that's fantastic.
I think it's a great idea, and I think part of the proposals of Shlomo actually for Fund 8, and I'm just aware of them. So part of them is actually how we can create, how they can create, for example, cross-chain collaboration, or how they can create promote Cardano in certain ways, and we can do it for certain projects as well. I think definitely I think it's a very great idea how we connect actually between the Cardano projects through that. I think with the ocean cleanup, I mean, we are so glad that they came, and we start dating together. They get to know us, we got to know them, and we start kind of working together on how we can collaborate. I think that's a great way to start collaborating with them. And then we start basically thinking, how can we bring them to the blockchain? And you know, we started to chat it in different ways already. Plastic credit.
And I think maybe this, the Veritas model can be applied somehow, you know, inspiration, collect, cycle, rewards. Yes, I mean, it's already, so I assume there are more. I don't know, I was late, I'm sorry, to the meeting because of other meetings. But yes, I mean, it's, I am just so, you know, in bliss to listen to all this work. It's amazing.
So,
I comment.
Dr. M, can you do me a favor for those? We know who you are. Can you just do me a favor and quick introduction to why you're so important to us?
No, I see it absolutely the other way around. You are important to my mission. And this is amazing that it's happening in the Cardano community. So it's like, my role, the title is Strategic Impact Leader, but my work is supposed to be, at least, to support such projects. And I am doing my best to do that within the framework that Input-Output is offering, being the developers of Cardano and supporting the development of new technology on our blockchain. So impact is, of course, part of Cardano's mission, and the community is so much geared towards impact. And sometimes this conflicts to the commercial purposes, which Input-Output also has set. So I'm mitigating between those two opposites, if you want to call it this way. That's why I'm hoping to collaborate closer with the Cardano community. Many people think I am with Cardano community, with the Cardano Foundation, and many people think I work with the for the foundation because of my impact work. But no, maybe it would be easier. But on the other side, being with Input-Output, I think I have I don't know how to say, as more leverage to help with the technology development. But that is how we operate. Yes, so we do not fund projects per se. We help bringing in the skill and the software developers to implement such ideas. And this is happening already in the community through Catalyst, but we can also hopefully help where the community, cannot develop by themselves.
Which is incredible that as a community we can actually approach IOG.
Definitely.
And say this through you, and this is our needs. We need traceability, we need transparency, supply chain traceability, all these different things.
All the products which are developed by IO. Yes, correct.
Yeah, this is what it's about. Climate change in the past was a failure in cooperation, and we are not going to fail in cooperating. Top down, bottom up, side to side, across. This is where we make the difference, and making these connections between these pieces. Elias was just this proposal on Catalyst, lost in there, and then the community comes together and starts connecting these things. So, the role of all these different connections is very important. Christian coming in with his research on the blockchain, incredible, and this bringing in the stake pools and ask questions.
I would like that. If we do that, my first question would be, and not now, I'm not asking it now, I'm just saying, if we do that, I would like to discuss with Ocean Cleanup about their ideas, or maybe we can all inspire them how to use blockchain. That would be for me the most stringent, because I did not see it from their presentation immediately, right? So.
And that's it. This is the piece that's missing, is the blockchain component. With us approaching the Ocean Cleanup, they have a wallet, but dealing in crypto and that transparency and that end of stuff isn't developed. Leonard, I think though that you did mention more this time than I've heard before in our previous conversations. Maybe you can answer, Dr. M, on that, if there's more that you've learned on
wait, can you see this slide?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I forgot this slide in the presentation, to be honest.
That's okay. It was meant to come now.
Yeah,
Perfect timing.
I wanted to, well, we are very, very early stages, but we do receive already for some years, of course, donations via crypto. So we have our wallets in place. So, okay, that's one angle. So for fundraising purposes, we are connected to that, but it's of course it's at the end of the line. But and we do work and have worked before with NFT artists, and we have really that's really picking up, and we had discussion with artist groups already in the US, like using data coming out of our interceptors into art. So art constantly changes along with the results of the interceptor, using metadata from these, because we have so much data which could integrate within NFT art. So you get sort of moving art. But these are all concepts we have been discussing already in the past, and we do actually have quite some artists that donate really substantial sums of donations to us from their NFT art sales. So we have already an engaged artist community that is linked to us. And another piece is, maybe you know about it. I don't know. We don't know too much about it, but we discuss plastic credits. So it looks it's a little bit like the CO2 credit system. We have a lot of doubt about it, and if it's really good or it's really shady, we are researching it. So we have to be open, but we have a feeling that it could be somehow connected to blockchain technology. So this is another option we are thinking about. Well, and what you saw, another idea we have been playing around with or are looking at is that the plastic that comes out of the ocean and that falls on the deck of the ship, that is packed according to a very strict system, combined with GPS data, type of plastic, and it's all audited. There's an audited trail connected to it, so we can always refer back to the originality of that. But it's not on the blockchain yet, and it would be a nice step from a transparency point of view, and also traceability point of view, if we could do that. So that's another angle we could look at. So these are a couple of ideas I forgot to mention in my first part of the presentation that we are contemplating, and which are already happening as well.
Fabulous.
Yes, and everybody here knows that the answer is yes. All those applications or uses for blockchains that you suggested, they are absolutely possible, and we have a certification product already developed by input, output, and so on and so forth. So yes. So there is a lot to do together, clear. So thank you. We actually take this conversation further. I assume that's why we already had a conversation before this meeting. So
at the beginning of you getting sick, so this is always
yes.
a challenge in itself. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's okay. No, so life goes on, luckily, but we should definitely follow up on this and have start the process of working on this.
And I'm just gonna, go ahead, Christian.
Another question to Leonard. Just because you're talking about you have used blockchain and you're talking about you have used NFT artists or basically work together with NFT artists, has there ever been coming up the question of which blockchain they're working on? Because you probably know very well that most NFT artists today, or the biggest community, is on the Ethereum blockchain, which is a proof of work blockchain. And that was also one of the blockchains that sort of, caused trouble to WWF to launch their tokens on that blockchain. So in that respect, I'm wondering if you had a discussion about which kind of blockchain, you choose, etc.
No, It's a big word. How to explain? No, we are not proactive, working together and reaching out with that. So we haven't been promoting it, or it has come to us, and we also now realize that there is a difference, like you just explained. And that has also, this WWF case has made that also clearer, that this is an important element to look at. So we're learning as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm a researcher myself, so any data, I think you're fully right. I mean, we have had a large, so one thing we are known for is the Cardano forest as a community as well. And Veritree has been involved in developing this as a platform, and they are tracing trees and you know, the metadata for tree planting on the Cardano blockchain. So I'm sure there is plenty of technology out there, and Michaela could probably, you know, if she can add an extra star from IO, that would be probably launching this project up right in the sky. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes, I already had this on the beginning conversation, but now, of course, it's I learned much more, so we can continue. I'll continue on that to make it an IO project.
Maybe you want to just go into a little bit more details, and I'm not sure if Damien, okay, here, if you feel like popping in and explaining how the smart contract works behind the NFT, this particular one, please feel free to, you know, just come off mute at any time. But, you know, this is kind of the model that we went with, having Shlomo and the NFT, connecting it to the ocean cleanup somehow, following in the footsteps of Veritree and the what do you call it, that you guys initiated?
Cardano trees, yeah.
Cardano trees, the forest. If you want to go into more details about that, Christian, for those that don't know about it, would be great. And Damien, please feel free at any time to drop off mute there.
Yeah, hi everyone. I can comment something about the NFTs in Cardano. In Cardano in particular, the NFTs didn't need a smart contract at all, because they are NFTs are like tokens in Cardano. It's another technology, but it's maybe a technical detail, but it's really great about this, because it's more simple, and NFTs have all the abilities that any token can have in the Cardano blockchain. But from the perspective to use NFTs in NGOs or trying to collect fundings, my experience is the main barrier is that the NGOs accept directly cryptocurrencies, or they need to have some wallet or something, and then they need to convert that to fiat money. No, then you can use a smart contract or not. For example, for the minting, or for the selling, or the secondary marketplaces, or anything, you can use a smart contract or not. You can make that in both ways. But the main thing is, obviously, if you use a smart contract or not, it's not important from the side from transparency, because everything is in the blockchain. Earlier, you showed the wallet where the funding are going from the Shlomo minting that is open right now, and there you can see that everything. For example, all the transactions are in transactions, and their money is there. Is not used for anything. And the thing is, in that particular situation, that wallet is a private wallet from Shlomo, and then later he needs to send that to the NGO, for example, for Ocean Cleanup or other NGO or other organization. But from the side from transparency, always is really transparent because all is there, open to anyone. And the only thing about smart contract in particular, is in some ways is more secure if it is if it is made well, because it's all set that and you have the security, for example, that the funds always go to some wallet in particular that, for example, could be an NGO wallet. In the centralized, if you make that in more centralized manner using only a Cardano node and a code, the transparency is equal because you can see everything, the transaction and everything. But for sure, some person that controls that node or that controls that software can change the address where the money go. But that is open for anyone. Then you can show that and you can advertise that. And I think the problems could be advertised really fast because you can see that for example the wallet was changed or something, and then people can advertise that if you donate to that cause, the money now is going to other side. But the main thing, or the more important thing, that NGOs need to start to accept accept cryptocurrencies and have their wallets. For example, like Ocean Cleanup, Leonard shows that he already have that, and that is really great. Because that, for me, that is more transparent and more direct than because if not, you need always to have several steps in the middle. And for now, it's not too easy to have, for example, something like multi-signature wallet or something like this. In a common situation, a wallet is only controlled by one person. And that could have problems in some situations, but I think that is the main point about if I think it's not the main problem is not about the smart contract or not, are more related to how to use the cryptocurrency.
From one wallet to another. And I did share that just briefly, the Cardano scan, so you can see where all the donations went to this particular NFT. It's all very transparent.
Yeah,
and
totally.
when we send it to the Ocean Cleanup, you'll see that if we have to turn it into fiat from our end, this is a complication on our side. And where it goes from there, we don't know anymore. It could very well go into somebody's pocket. If it goes specifically to the Ocean Cleanup wallet address, we know it's gone there and it's arrived. And not only has it arrived, but it's like fast and very low fees, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. For example, with Berry3, like a company a month ago or more or less, they didn't accept ADA like a donation or like a payment. They only accept ADA for the ITO that they made with Cardano about the Cardano forest. But if at that moment from the ATO, if you like to make a direct donation or something in ADA, they didn't accept at the moment. They only make some special situation for the Cardano forest. But if we start having any NGO or any organization that is making something about trying to tackle some problem, accepting cryptos in general, would be really great because, like Sean already talked at the beginning, it's a really good way, maybe better way to maybe collect funds for different 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 plans or different.
I think Abe brought this up in the chat about there's a skepticism of crypto, what's going on with it, and there's an education piece that we need to clarify. Even when we started speaking to Leonard, it wasn't really clear that we needed to bridge that gap, and now we know. So we'll make it much more clear in the future, more addressing the benefits of using crypto. Elias, I see you with your beautiful family there.
Yeah,
And congratulations on your new baby recently.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I see your hand is up too. It's one really good, it's the best way to get my attention is put kids on the screen.
Thank you. Yeah, on the same subject, I want to talk about the same subject. Is the advantage of blockchain is we can have an open accounting. So this is what we do in our team. We have a wallet for the project, and every transaction we made, we share the ID, and everyone can make sure that it's sent to the specific member who was used, who sent to an exchange. And for the second aspect is about NGOs. I think they need to have some crypto enthusiasts, some blockchain enthusiasts with them to help them to transfer their crypto to fiat. So it will be a good mix. So if they want to have the help of the blockchain community, they can seek Cardano4Climate. We can help also, but they need to find someone in their entourage that understand crypto and then can help them do the things. Yeah, use the funds collected. This is all.
Absolutely. Christian, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up as well because I thought I wanted to bring it to Ilias as well. But I got 3 points, and I really tried to be short. But on the wallet, it's a massive thing. And as you know, we are running as a stake pool community now a project to support a permaculture initiative, a project in Madagascar. And one of the things that you already pointed out is that it was a problem. How do we get ADA to Madagascar? And actually not ADA at the end, because at the end we work directly with the NGO, and it's a very tiny little NGO of 3 people. And there is luckily a blockchain enthusiast in there, and also because they need funding, so they are open to go the extra mile. Whereas I think if you're working with a large NGO, and we have been trying to do that too, it takes much, much longer. They already have funding, and they would have to employ someone, or they need to have someone on board that can kind of take them through it. But it's really, with regards to taxes, it's always country specific. So the NGOs need to be registered in the countries that you are donating from in order to be seen as an NGO. There's no use, as far as I understand it, at least, please tell me if I'm wrong, that but if, for example, we want to donate to Madagascar, in order to do and deal with the whole thing, we needed to make sure it goes directly to Madagascar, because the taxes are more or less zero in Madagascar. And whereas if they had to go through France, which is sort of the developed country colonial entity that usually deals with most of the accounting for Madagascar, you pay 30% tax. And it feels wrong that you pay tax to a country that has nothing to do with actually the problem as an NGO. So I'm happy to pay taxes in Madagascar, but not for France, only to transfer it through a bank in France. So it's quite important to have that kind of aspect and make sure you're connected locally and internationally, and somehow manage to transfer the money and then also exchange it into the currency that you need. So we can, for example, we haven't found any exchange that transfers, exchanges money or ADA into the national Madagascar currency. There's so few countries in Africa that you can exchange it to. It's really complicated. You always have to go through other currencies, which is a bit of an issue. So that's the first point. I think we have to come back to Damien, because he's very key to answering the questions on NFT that I have. But in terms of Viridis, I think the important thing here is we have talked about Veritree to collect the metadata for plastic pollution, for example, or we have the metadata, or we have the technology that LitterCoin uses to maybe collect metadata. So maybe we can learn a little bit more about how your technology actually tracks the waste, the plastic being recycled, Elias. Yeah, that's basically what I feel like that I'd like to know a little bit more about. Maybe how that's different to how Veritree does it. Where does the data go, Elias? And how do you connect all of these things?
Yeah, so for using the fiat, we are in Morocco here, we use a peer-to-peer system. So there are people who want to buy crypto, and we use a Binance app to find them, and it's peer-to-peer. We send them crypto, and they send us a bank transfer in Moroccan dirhams. So it's easy, I think, for us in North Africa and most of Africa. Binance, we can use Binance to have peer-to-peer transactions and going directly to the normal economy in the two ways we want. So and
easy to do. Sorry, can I just follow up? Is that easy to do in terms of is there enough liquidity? So if you want to exchange, that always there's someone that wants to pay you the right exchange rate as well?
Yeah, the rate in between USDT. So practically, yeah, there is in Binance peer-to-peer. There is a peer-to-peer market. There is always someone wanting to buy USDT. So we need to exchange any crypto to a stable coin before selling it via a peer-to-peer system. There is enough liquidity, but we have we can't transact with more than $1,000 in one transaction for practical and legal reasons. But we have liquidity here in Morocco. I talked with the team members in Ghana. They also are able to exchange ADA for a stable coin and from a stable coin to their currency using peer-to-peer. I can work with anyone. I can have a chat if you. I can help in that.
Do you always have to exchange in stable coin? Because costs money.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need stable coins in between. Yeah.
Okay. So the second question was about how do you track your plastic recycling and the collection and the recycling? How do you store the data for that? I mean, is there the state? How do you collect the amount of plastic, quality, etc.?
We just started to work to execute our project. We have for now like 5 collectors in the streets of our city. We started small in our city. We have just a table, Google table. We have their numbers, and we have and we buy from them directly using Moroccan dirhams. But afterward, we will have all of that, not their names, but their address. For example, We want in the futures to be able to pay them in ADA. But right now we pay them in the fiat currency of Morocco, and we use it directly with them. We aim to have 10 or 20 in 2 months, collectors collaborating with us.
Thank
So
you.
no metadata yet.
No
right?
metadata, yeah, no metadata yet, yeah.
Okay, so that's coming with the project. So just, you know, listening to this, you know, we realize like, well, it's super easy for us to send ADA from wallet to wallet, no problem. But, you know, if we're going to end up, you know, doing this, collecting the ADA through this NFT, it's important that we don't give another burden to the ocean cleanup to resolve this, you know, making this clear. And between now and when we hand over that donation, possibly there's some sort of solutions where we can get the legalities figured out, making it easier for accounting, still keeping the transparency if possible, you know, going from there. I don't know what the answers are myself. So I'm hoping smart people here will have something.
I think it would be good to have someone in the Netherlands. I remember there was in the group, there was someone, was it Niels Keefe, I think, was a person that was participating in one of the group meetings, and he was in the Netherlands, and he was obviously very much into Cardano. So there might be someone that wants to volunteer their time to help them set it up. And they already know in the Netherlands what the tax situation is and how to deal with it. And you could potentially just donate, you know, £100 or 100 euros for a Ledger wallet. So they don't even have to buy that. So it's all sort of in one package. Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting. So further
we have an
discussions.
advantage also in Africa that we don't pay taxes for donation. If we work with an NGO here in Morocco, so we can give them money without giving a rise for taxation in any way. In Europe and more and other countries, it's more difficult, I think.
Yeah, I was referring to the Netherlands for the ocean cleanup, which I think that's where their headquarters is based, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, but I think we have some experience, so we will have to look at what we can do and come up with a solution.
And I may connect
the...
you also with our, we have, of course, experts in fintech, and we work with a few banks like neobanks, right? Which they may also be able to help. So, you know, down the line, keep that in mind.
Great.
Yeah, until we all start transacting in ADA straight across and not having to convert, it'll be, you know, a bit of a challenge this way. Any other questions? Christian, did you have something else?
Sorry, I'm never running out of things.
Awesome. Keep going, please. Very interesting.
There is the NFT one. So I wanted to follow up with Damien because it's really important for Shlomo. And it's very important for our project too, is when we learned that when we go through it, when you offer NFTs for NGOs, it's the aspect of that just giving away NFTs is not very, is not creating a lot of hype, basically, except if we are doing a really fantastic marketing campaign. And that's where I wanted to check a little bit with Damien because he's really an expert in this. But what I understand now is we care too much about the mission and we don't care enough about the marketing and the NFT aspect for a lot of these things. And what seems to be very important is that if you create an NFT like Shlomo's NFT, you have to have this story behind it. You have to have a huge Discord community already behind you. You have to have the next NFT coming up. So people basically buy these things not just to do good things, but they do buy them in order to make money. And if you can kind of create sort of timeline, like when the next one is coming out, how they work together. And I think Damien specifically has a lot of stuff in there that people are interested in buying these. You know, like they like to give their money, they know it's going to a good cause, but they may also be able to trade it somehow later on. So I think there should be room to discuss a little bit on how we can help Shlomo and any of these projects, you know, to be helped and marketed their NFTs so that everyone knows they are for a good cause, and you know there's a lot of money going to these projects. So maybe Damien can help a little bit more on that, because I think he has very good experience there. I don't know. I'm hopefully not asking
No,
too
this is
difficult
good.
questions.
This is another really good point, you know, and when I think about our Cardano4Climate community, it has to be more. It has to be somebody that comes along and says, yeah, this needs to be marketed. We can't do all things, and we can't reinvent the wheel when somebody else comes along. I'm trying to rack my brain, and Raz has something. Yora, maybe you can help me about that NFT for good. And I know there's NFT for good that Damien had started. So anybody have more information about that?
Yeah, so if Damien wants to speak about it, but yeah, Damien basically, I don't know if he unmutes, so I let him talk about it. Otherwise, I would say, but basically he wants to offer all his experience and success and the huge success what he's doing with the community. So you have open source code basically that he's sharing with everyone. He participated with all the discussion with Shlomo, and his idea was to create kind of NFT for good collaboration that will also help with marketing. Marketing is a big issue, right? So if they all work together, so they're able to better even have a budget for marketing, right? And market it together, or do the, you know, even promote it to artists, like you said. I mean, because it's better to be on Cardano than on Ethereum if you're conscious about the impact. So all of these things we wanted to centralize, and Raz from Sustainable ADA, we have call here, or I think he was here until a bit. So they also working on that, how to group together different NFT for good projects. And it's something that we need to pick up. I mean, we discussed that we will create a group focusing on that. So it's something that definitely we need to pick up. I think there's a lot of need for that. And so Damian and Raz going to repeat that. Basically, that's the idea behind that. It answer your question. Yeah, Damian, please, sir.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally. Thank you. It's a really important point, and each day is more important because more and more the people like to have some kind of utility or something, or roadmap or new things, or a clarification on what will happen next or something in each project. And like Chris says, most it's not good, but most of the community or the people behind the NFTs community like monkey images and to flip it and to make money and something, and really only the idea behind the project to make something good like Shlomo is not enough to have a good drop or a good or to sell a lot of NFT. Yeah. And because of that, I agree that it's necessary to think to think about really deep about that, how to approach that, and yeah, because it's a lot of projects have at this time a lot of projects have great drops, but from for example promoting things or utility behind that NFTs that are generally are not sustainable in time. For me, most of them are really like a lie behind of that because they have a lot of approaches, but that is not sustainable in time. And for this kind of NFTs with a cost behind, we need to think a lot about how to approach that. And for sure, the marketing is a really important part, because we need to yeah, to compete against other projects that only people buy only for make money. For in general, because in general the NFTs drop that has a good acceptance. The people makes in some cases something like 10 times that they invest in that drop in the secondary market. Then the most of the people in the NFT space is searching something like this, and we need to think a lot about how to to attract people, but with a different approach or different values. Or it's not. I think it's not easy. We need to think a lot about that. For sure, in the case of a specific from Shlomo collection is a collection of a real artist with a lot of a great career and really recognized. Is another thing. There is I don't know if there is other NFTs with that quality or that one artist like Shlomo behind. But again, maybe I don't know if most of the people are care about that. Maybe they prefer a simple monkey image and sell it. but this is something I agree with Shoram and Christian. It's something that we need to make it in detail. Yeah.
I think it's just important actually for Leonard as well, to maybe for people that are not so much in NFTs yet, and even myself, I'm still learning on it. But when Damien says drop NFT, it means that you are actually so-called minting an NFT, which means you're imprinting a piece of art with a digital asset, and it means that from now on it's a unique piece of art, and you can find it on the blockchain, and you can then also sell it on the blockchain. And then the importance right now is that it's a new kind of market. I think on the Ethereum blockchain, it's a bit more established. So you have quite established artists there, and obviously people are paying literally thousands of dollars for these art, and plus $200 or $300 in gas fees in order to move NFTs around. And a lot of the NFT art on Cardano currently is reasonably, from what I can see, the pricing usually when people are minting is somewhere around 10, 20, 50 ADA. And that's possible because your fees in order to mint them are basically just £1 or sorry, $1 or something like that. So very much less than what you would pay on the Ethereum blockchain. And people are often launching and printing like 1,000 of their pieces of art and maybe do some variations. And it's questionable about how unique these are and how much time they put into these things. I mean, they put in a couple of months of work, and then in order to make sure that they maintain their price, they have to think about future utility. Like what's the next thing you can do with those NFTs so they increase in value, because literally people don't buy them to look at them, because you don't usually, as far as I understand, you don't have a large TV in your house yet, or maybe some people do, and then you just have it running all day long to look at the art. But all you look at is usually in your browser, in your wallet, and it's usually on your phone, which basically means you don't see a lot of it. And I don't know how exhibitions are evolving on these things, but there is a lot of room for improvement. And it's all about utility at the moment and creating a hype. And then people are buying them, and they're really crazy on snapping up any NFT. And that way you can make a lot of money for your project. And but I think there is a lot of room for Damien, as you said it. There's also new ways of doing things. If you're actually reselling them, there can be a profit made from reselling. And that may also be something that can go to the charity. So when you buy something and then you sell it over its lifetime, each time the same charity may be supported. I think there's a lot of things we can be doing, but it still requires quite a lot of marketing.
Yeah, and this is the piece. This is, sorry, Yoram, just 1 second. This is the piece for me. I bought that NFT And in my wallet, it says asset. And then I can click on it and I can look at it. And I can look at this and know that I've made a donation to Shlomo's Apocalypsea Collection. So that piece of it, because it has that purpose for me, if I know that down the road I can turn around and sell that, not for profit for myself, but if the profit from that NFT being resold can go towards the same ocean cleanup or whatever donation it might have gone to, that would be really incredible. And then you'd want to see these moved. You'd want to see them sold over and over and again, so that somebody isn't just buying it to hoard it till it goes to the moon and back, and then we can all go to Hawaii. You know, this
I
isn't the
call that
idea behind this.
I call that a force multiplier. Yes, I think it's a brilliant way to amplify the, you know, the good. Let's put it this way: the giving for good, or
That's the
art for
movement
good.
you want to see. You want to keep sharing. You want to keep moving this out, and then each individual, if they can promote it more and sell it somehow. The platform, I don't believe, exists to do that yet. So, Yoram, go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, just to continue what you said and so on, I definitely see that we need Damian. It's time to do this group. I mean, we spoke about several times. So yeah, let's take an action for us as a community. And
But I just
we'll make
wanted
sure.
to mention that as far as I know, art pieces, I mean, at least as NFTs, they are being resold. And I think platforms for doing that exist. I do not know if on Cardano, probably not. But you know, be in touch with me for two things. One, for an answer for this question from our NFT guru from Input Output. And second, for marketing, because of course we have a big department which is very interested to in Cardano for good, obviously, yes, and can support you with that.
Yeah,
That
that would be
would
great.
be
Amazing.
incredible to see the move over NFTs with purpose, you know, and traceability, recognizing that we're actually making an impact and changing the world for better. Yoram, you wanted to say something else? And Elias, thank you so much for coming. Really glad you could come.
Yeah, I will connect it, I mean, to a little bit to Cardano4Climate, I mean, mission or the way we started. So how we impact, right, the Cardano blockchain, or be part of making the Cardano blockchain the blockchain that is the blockchain for good and for impact. And the NFT can be an important part of it, right? We just saw the example of WWF, and something that definitely we need to promote and build and promote it as part of the mission. And yeah, very interesting area to work on.
Yeah, and I would just say actually that, because Melanie mentioned already, it's definitely possible that you can resale, and then actually currently artists make royalties from, you can earn royalties from resale of your art each time they're sold via certain platforms. I think NFT, I don't know what are they called now, NFT something. And then you can get royalties, and these royalties usually go back to the artist, depending on the percentage, and then obviously that artist can donate them to those projects.
Is that something to do with a smart contract, though? My understanding is that in the resale of it, there can be a smart contract that says, you know, 3% goes to the artist, 10% goes to the artist, and 90% goes to donation. Is that something possible where a smart contract can come into the resale part of it?
I think so. I mean, I think it works through the platforms. I don't know if it's done through, it should be done through smart contracts, but yeah, maybe someone else knows better than me.
Chris, I think you need to pipe in there, because you've just made a comment, and maybe you'd like to add into this conversation a little bit. Tell us more about these platforms that you're talking about.
Yeah, so each one of those platforms is very different. You know, conversation's been very specific to Cardano. Most of the experience I have is how it's written in Ethereum, and Solidity is very different as far as how the language is. But you can specify as far as percentage, how much goes to who, but the owner of that NFT is going to want to sell it and make a profit. I mean, there's whole things in regards to what it mints for, what's the floor, what it's risen. There's a whole bunch on the scarcity of each particular mint, as far as, is it a 1 of 10? Is it of 100? Is it of 1,000? All of these things are variables as far as what's going to drive the value of that NFT. Also, who the artist is, how big their community, how big their following. There's so many things that factor into what is the value of an NFT. But just specifically on platforms, yeah, there's a lot to talk about there, because different platforms have totally different rules. Even who will be allowed to actually sell on it. Like on Super Rare, you can't just say, oh, I'd like to sell on Super Rare. You have to be approved. Whereas OpenSea will take anyone. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff around this. Some platforms, there's a lot more scammers on them, and there's a lot more safety issues than other platforms. So, you know, just as simple as, hey, let's do a project and sell it. There's so many nuances and variables in order to make it actually work and be right, that it's really easy to kind of skim over or gloss over those things.
I have a feeling this is going to be an ongoing conversation and an ongoing collaboration,
Absolutely.
which is
It's
really
huge.
incredible. So we're coming up to 2 hours, and out of respect for people's time, I think we're going to just close up in the next few minutes. If there's anything else anybody wants to say, I know what I want to say is thank you all for being here and being part of this collaboration. This coming together, it didn't end up the way that I had seen it would. And this having one big breakout room, I think we might have come up with some pretty cool stuff. So, yeah. Anything else?
I just felt like maybe the others, like, you know, OpenLitterMap, but they didn't speak enough. Maybe I do not want to live with the feeling that we did not give them a voice, just because I was so initially focused on how to use blockchain for intercept. But please, I count on you that you will mediate, you know, connection with me on the matters which I offered and more, because I know you also contacted me for the OpenLitter project. So just I remain available as much as
Thank
possible
you.
and as needed.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. It means a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then I don't know if anyone that didn't speak wants to say something, just to kind of this. Not obviously we can.
Last couple minutes. I see somebody coming off mute. Yes. Osen?
Yes. Yeah, Osen. Yeah, my name is
Osen.
Osen. I'll try to push my camera on. So, yeah, I'm a part also of the Veridis team, and I've been following. This is my first meeting with you on Cardano4Climate. I've been invited by Elias, and I've been hearing all the points, interesting points that you have been sharing. So a good idea that Michaela added, that we can have like a cooperation between the projects like OpenLitterMap and Veridis, and also for the ocean, and Mr. Shlomo with his art, his beautiful art. Our aim in Veridis is to empower recycling. So we are more focused on the plastic bottles more than other kind of trash. So I think also in the other projects, also they are working on plastic bottles as well. So our idea on NFT is is not like an art in itself, but it's more like a certification. For example, if we reach, for example, one recycler who recycled like, let's say, for example, 1 million bottles, so he will have a certification on the blockchain, which will be like a piece of art. At the same time, it's like, let's say, for example, like certificate or something that can prove his his support to the project, his support to the case, the recycling case. So yes, and I would like to have with like another meeting in the next future with all these projects together, and we can find a way, like for example, to encourage like one each other, and also to support on social media, to support on the NFTs, and that will be interesting. So thank you everyone for the fruitful meeting and the interesting infos that you have shared with us today. It was very interesting, and looking forward to have our next gathering. So thank you.
I believe this is Plastic in Cardano Part 1 event. And then
Yes.
it's going to be neat
Yeah,
to
for
see where
sure.
this goes. Yep. I'm going to drop some links in just as a way of connection for anybody else. We have our Telegram chat for Cardano4Climate and our Discord channel. There's also, I happen to throw in the event planning Telegram too. So if you're interested, maybe that's a good time to do a plug. If you're interested in hosting or being part of events like these, please join that Telegram chat, and let's figure this out together.